Hello, my name is Heather King, and I'm a councillor with the Corporation of Delta, currently running for mayor in Delta. Here with me today is Tanner. Tanner lives in Delta. One of the things that we do at Mayor and Council in City Hall is we really don't gather the input for some of our decisions from our youth. And Tanner today is going to help provide some of the answers to those questions that we need to form better decision making at City Hall. Tanner, welcome, and thank you for taking time away from your homework to be with us today.
Thank you very much.
Tanner, a couple of questions that I wanted to ask about your experience in living in Delta, in particular in Ladner. How would you describe Delta to somebody your age that did not live in Delta?
Well, what I would say is Delta is the perfect place to grow up. It really has everything that you could be looking for. There are opportunities in sports, volunteering, and there's all sorts of diverse people that you're really going to enjoy meeting.
Excellent. Good answer. So what are some of the things that need to be improved? So, you know, if you could change a couple of things about Ladner, what would that be?
If I had to change some things, I think it would be important to add in more places for shopping or restaurants, because anyone that I know when they do go shopping, they either go to some place like Richmond or down to the States. No one really comes here to go shopping. And also with restaurants, we don't have any we have restaurants and places to eat, but nothing that's very like fine dining.
I guess it's hard to have a date and go to Ricky's on a regular basis. It's not really the one place that's going to impress. I understand what you're talking about in terms of shopping. I find shopping local is very good for me, but when it comes to finding high-end sporting equipment and things like that, I kind of struggle shopping locally. And for my sons, when I need to go and buy them the right types of jeans or the right types of hoodies, I do find for men your age, the selection does drive me, unfortunately, out of Ladner. So thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciated that. One of the other things I want to ask you is that Mayor and Council make decisions regarding how tax dollars are spent. That's part of the things that is some of the things that we do in City Hall. We don't just sit around having meetings all day. We actually do make decisions. We decide, for example, if Ladner were to get a second turf field. We already have an artificial turf field in Holly, but we had some people who were up to their ankles in mud trying to play softball this spring because it was a very wet spring around Hawthorne Park. So that's one of the things that we may decide what to do with your tax dollars. We also look at either doing that or putting tax dollars in North Delta. These are kind of the decisions that we make. I don't know if you pay taxes yet, but one of the things that I would also like to say is, would you like to have a voice in how your tax dollars are spent in terms of recreational facilities around Delta?
Definitely. I think that's very important that we have a youth's input. I think it is essential that we have teenagers educated on the issues and get them involved and hear their opinions, because they are also a large part of Delta and the community. So if we could do that, if there was some way we could arrange meetings with the council and we could talk and discuss the issues, and they could tell us some of the options and outcomes of these, I think that would be great.
Tanner, that's wonderful to hear. I guess we'd have to serve pizza, but we would love to do that, because I don't know if anybody said this to you, but I say that to my children. We have to be good to you because you're the future and you're going to choose my nursing home. So the decisions that you'll be making when you're my age will definitely impact us. We need to hear from you, and we need to understand how the best way is to reach out. I know there's a lot of social media, there's Twitter, there's Facebook. What is the best way that you feel yourself and your friends would like to communicate with City Hall? You think it's meetings for discussions, and how do we gather your interest? You said some of your friends would like to be educated on what we do. How do we do that?
I think the best way is to go into the schools and talk about it in one of our classes, or have a meeting, an assembly, and just gain some interest in people our ages, people of my age, and then from there, I think we would get a lot of activity on any websites or Twitter or any of the social media, and then from that we could organize meetings and have informal meetings where we can discuss the issues and find out what the youth's opinion is.
Thank you, Tanner. One of the things that concerns me is that it's very difficult to get the youth out to vote. The percentage of people that voted in the last municipal election in certain places of Delta was as low as 24%. So it's very problematic. We have people who will always vote for a federal election but not so much for a municipal, and yet the decisions your mayor and council make affect you and your neighborhood almost immediately, whereas federal decisions may take years to trickle down. So we need a way to engage in the youth and help them understand how important it is that they have their voice. Well, one of the things I wanted to ask as well is, how safe do you feel walking home from the bus stop? You were telling me in an earlier conversation that's how you get around. You either walk or you take the bus. How safe do you feel in your neighborhood walking, say, at night?
I think that's one of the best parts about Delta is how safe the streets are. There's very low crime in Ladner and Delta, and I would definitely feel safe walking through the night. One thing that I would suggest is increasing the lighting in some older neighborhoods. It can get very dark at night, and so if we could increase that, that would be a good thing.
That's great. We'll have a look at that, definitely. One of the things that I also wanted to ask you in terms of how do we make decisions on increasing density or not increasing density and making housing affordable, because that's something we always hear about in the community. I just wanted to ask you, one day when you go to university and you have a family of your own, I know that's kind of hard to visualize at age 16, but definitely that's going to happen one day. Where do you think you'd want to live once you have a family to raise?
Well, depending on the job opportunities that I'm offered, I really wouldn't know where I would get to live, but if I did have the option, a place like Delta, if not Delta, would be my ideal place to call home.
Excellent.
I think it's a great place to raise a family and to settle down. It really has everything that you would need.
Excellent. Tanner, thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know your mother is probably wanting you to get back at your homework, but I really want to take the time to thank you very much for spending the time and telling us a little bit more about the youth perspective on some of the issues that we're concerned with at City Hall. And for any of your friends that are watching, I would really appreciate if you could contact me either via email or phone or however you'd like to contact me. Let's sit down and look at some of the issues that you face as youth growing up in Delta. I'd like you to have a voice. Thank you.